In the shadows of history, there are stories whispered but never told. Tales of angels and demons, gods and fallen kings, myths and forbidden truths. Welcome to Echoes of the Fallen, where the forgotten speaks again. Before the floodwaters swallowed the earth, before Noah raised hammer and wood to build the ark, there walked on the land a race unlike any other. They were mighty, they were feared, they were remembered as legends and cursed as monsters. The ancients called them the Nephilim. The book of Genesis tells us this mystery. When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair, and they took them as wives. From this forbidden union came beings both human and not. They were taller than men, stronger than warriors, and hungrier than beasts. They were the giants of old, heroes in some tales, destroyers in others. But who were these sons of God? Angels fallen from heaven, or rulers, mighty kings taking any woman they desired? The scriptures whisper the question, but do not answer it. Yet the memory of these giants, these Nephilim, echoes across every culture, carved into myths, feared in stories, and remembered as the first shadow that fell across humanity. Tonight we step back in time, into a world before the flood, when heaven and earth crossed boundaries, and the Nephilim were born. But the book of Genesis only gives us fragments. To uncover the hidden truth, we turn to the forbidden text, the book of Enoch. In the days before the flood, 200 angels looked down from the heavens. They were called the Watchers, sent to observe mankind, to guide them, but never to interfere. Yet their eyes fell upon the daughters of men, women whose beauty stirred desire even in immortal beings. Their leader, Simjaza, feared the consequences. He warned them, "If we descend and take wives from among them, we will be bound by sin and judged forever." But one by one the others urged him on, and so upon Mount Hermon they swore a terrible oath, never to abandon each other, never to turn back. Together they leapt from the heights of heaven and fell into the world of men. There the Watchers took wives. They taught women enchantments, charms, and hidden arts. They revealed the secrets of the heavens, secrets not meant for mortal hands. And from their unions were born the Nephilim, giants with strength that shook the earth, spirits that defied heaven, and hunger that no feast could satisfy. The descent of the Watchers was the first great rebellion, a crossing of boundaries between the divine and the human, and from it came the most terrifying offspring the world had ever known. At first, the Nephilim seemed like wonders, children of the heavens and the earth, stronger, faster, mightier than men. They grew tall, some towering as high as mountains. But soon their beauty turned to horror. Their hunger knew no end. At first they devoured the harvests of men, draining fields and storehouses. When the grain was gone, they turned to livestock. When the beasts were gone, they turned on mankind itself. The book of Enoch says the Nephilim began to devour flesh and drink blood. Cities trembled at their footsteps, and the cries of humanity rose like smoke into heaven. But it was not only their strength that corrupted the world, for their fathers, the Watchers, taught mankind secrets forbidden. Azazel revealed the forging of swords, knives, and shields, weapons of war never before known. He taught the art of metal, the making of ornaments, the use of paint, the crafting of mirrors. Simjaza unveiled enchantments and spells. Others taught astrology, sorcery, root cutting, and the motions of the stars. Knowledge that was meant for heaven now corrupted the earth. Violence spread like wildfire. Magic and blood filled the land. The Nephilim, once admired as heroes, became tyrants. Their voices thundered in arrogance. Their shadows drowned the light of men. They were giants of destruction, terror made flesh, and soon the very earth itself cried out against them. The cries of the people reached into the heavens. Blood spilled across the earth like a flood before the flood. The giants consumed, the Watchers corrupted, and humanity groaned under a weight it could not bear. And the earth itself, the very soil, lifted its voice. For the book of Enoch says, "The earth complained of the lawless ones. The Most High looked down and saw what had become of his creation. The daughters of men taken, the sons of God corrupted, the Nephilim spreading terror, devouring life, and teaching sorcery and bloodshed. Then God spoke to the archangels. To Michael he said, "Go, bind the leaders among them, for they have defiled the earth." To Gabriel he said, "Stir up war between the giants, that they may destroy each other with their own hands." To Raphael he commanded, "Bind Azazel the corrupter, and cast him into darkness, covering him with jagged rocks until the day of judgment." And to Uriel he declared, "Warn Noah, for the waters of destruction are coming to cleanse the earth of its corruption." The watchers saw what was coming. Their children, the Nephilim, grew restless as the skies darkened with heaven's wrath. The age of giants was coming to its end, and the punishment of the watchers was near. The earth shook with fear, for when heaven rises to judge, no one escapes. The skies grew heavy with clouds, darker than men had ever seen. The ground trembled as if creation itself braced for judgment. The watchers looked on in terror. Their giant sons, the Nephilim, roared in defiance, their voices echoing like thunder across valleys and mountains. Then, the heavens broke open. Rain poured down in sheets of fury. The fountains of the deep erupted, spewing waters from beneath the earth. Rivers overflowed, mountains shuddered, cities were swallowed whole. The Nephilim, those mighty giants, tried to stand against the flood. Their heads rose above the waters, but the waters rose higher still. Their power failed them, their size, their strength, their might. None could save them from the hand of the Almighty. The Book of Giants, found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, tells us the Nephilim foresaw their doom in dreams. Visions of destruction, of falling stars, of oceans drowning their strength. Their fathers, the Watchers, begged Enoch to intercede with God, but heaven's decision was final. One by one, the giants perished, their cries muffled beneath the endless waters. And the Watchers, who had sworn their terrible oath, were bound in chains beneath the mountains of the earth, imprisoned until the great judgment at the end of days. Yet the destruction of the giants did not end their story. For though their bodies drowned, their spirits remained, spirits born of heaven and earth, but belonging to neither. These restless spirits, Enoch tells us, became something new, something feared. They became the demons, evil spirits wandering the earth, tormenting men, hungry forever, never finding rest. The flood had washed the world clean of flesh, but the shadow of the Nephilim still lingered. The waters of judgment receded. The ark rested upon the mountains of Ararat. Noah and his family stepped out into a new world, cleansed, renewed, free from the shadow of the Nephilim. But the story did not end there. Generations later, the people of Israel peered into the land of Canaan and trembled, for among its inhabitants stood giants once more. The spies reported, "We saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Enoch. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." The Anakim, the Rephaim, the Emim, tribes of enormous stature, warriors of terrifying power. Some whispered, "Had the blood of the Nephilim survived through the flood?" Others believed that the Watchers' corruption had taken root once more among the nations. And so the stories of giants continued. In the valley of Elah, a young shepherd named David stood before a giant of Gath, Goliath, over 9 feet tall, clad in bronze, his spear like a weaver's beam. He taunted the armies of Israel until one stone brought him low. But Goliath was not alone. Scripture names his brothers, giants who also fell by the hands of David's men. The land itself seemed haunted by echoes of the Nephilim. Every generation feared their return, for the shadow of the giants stretched far beyond the flood. And though their bodies could be slain, their spirits, the demons, still walked unseen. The Nephilim had been broken but not erased. Their legacy, dark and dangerous, lingered in every battle against the giants of the earth. The mystery of the Nephilim does not end with the Bible alone. Across the ancient world, in the ruins of forgotten temples and the stories of the first civilizations, echoes of these giants resound. In the land of Sumer, the oldest civilization we know, Tales were told of the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came. They were powerful beings descending from the skies, bestowing knowledge, ruling as kings. Some were said to mate with mortals, giving rise to mighty offspring, half divine, half human. Does this not sound familiar? In Babylon, epic tales speak of Gilgamesh, the mighty warrior king, 2/3 divine, 1/3 mortal. The Book of Giants, hidden among the Dead Sea Scrolls, even names Gilgamesh as one of the great Nephilim. In Greece, the myths tell of the Titans, offspring of gods towering in stature, cast down by Zeus in a war that shook the heavens. Their rebellion mirrors the fall of the Watchers, their destruction like the judgment of the flood. Even in the far reaches of the earth, stories of giants remain. The Norse spoke of the Jotnar, giant beings locked in endless conflict with the gods. The native peoples of the Americas told of monstrous men who devoured flesh. The Irish spoke of Fomorians, twisted giants rising from the sea. Every culture, every people carried whispers of beings greater than men, beings who broke the balance of the world. Were these the same, different faces of the same truth? Or did the shadow of the Nephilim stretch farther than we imagine, woven into the very fabric of human memory? The line between myth and scripture blurs, and in that blur, the Nephilim remain, shadows of heaven and earth, remembered as gods, kings, and monsters. The giants drowned in the flood. Their bodies perished, their strength broken, but their story did not end in the waters. The Book of Enoch tells us, "The spirits of the giants shall be like clouds. They shall afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and cause destruction on the earth." For the Nephilim were not like men. Born of heaven and earth, their souls could not ascend to heaven, nor sink to Sheol. They became trapped between worlds, restless, cursed, and filled with hunger. These disembodied spirits became what men would later call demons. Evil spirits, wandering across the earth, thirsting for bodies to inhabit, craving blood, tormenting the living. Unlike their angelic fathers, they had no glory. Unlike their human mothers, they had no rest. And so they roam, forever hungry. When Jesus walked the earth, he cast out many such spirits. They cried out in recognition, saying, "What have we to do with you, Son of God? Have you come to torment us before the time?" Their voices were the voices of the Nephilim's children, begging not to be cast into the abyss. The Nephilim had been slain in flesh, but in spirit they still haunt the world. Some say the whisper of temptation, the shadow in nightmares, the voice that drives men to bloodshed, all are echoes of the restless Nephilim. Their bodies lie beneath the flood, but their spirits walk in silence, unseen yet never gone. The demons of today are the shadows of the giants of old. Thousands of years have passed since the flood. The giants are gone, their bones buried beneath earth and stone, but their memory lingers. Some believe their remnants are hidden in plain sight, massive skeletons unearthed in deserts and mountains. Enormous skulls with double rows of teeth, quietly whisked away into secrecy. Legends tell of governments and secret orders concealing the truth, that the Nephilim were real and their blood still runs through certain lineages. The Book of Enoch said, "They will lead men astray into idols, into blood, into lies." Could it be that the influence of the Nephilim still directs the rulers of this world? Others look to the skies, strange lights, beings descending from the heavens, encounters with what we call aliens. But what if these visitors are not from distant stars, but the same watchers who once fell, returning with deception in a new mask? Ancient civilizations, from Mesopotamia to the Americas, built structures so vast, so precise, that even today their secrets remain unsolved. The pyramids, Stonehenge, the Nazca lines, were these the works of men, or the lingering knowledge of the Nephilim? And in the myths of every nation, there are echoes, giants, sky gods, monstrous hybrids. The Greeks spoke of titans, the Norse of frost giants, the Native Americans of star people and thunder beings. Different names, different tongues, but one story. Perhaps the Nephilim never truly disappeared. Perhaps their shadow is woven into every culture, every unexplained mystery, every whispered fear of what walks unseen among us. Some say they will return, others say they never left. And if the days of Noah are to come again, so too may the giants. The story of the Nephilim is not just about the past. It is a warning for the future. The words of Enoch echo through time. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the coming of the Son of Man. The ancients believed the Nephilim were bound, their spirits wandering the earth as unclean beings, what we now call demons. But prophecy suggests their influence is not finished. The book of Daniel speaks of kingdoms that do not cleave together, like iron mixed with clay. Some say this hints at a mingling of seed, humanity once again touched by something not human. Revelation tells of the abyss opening, releasing ancient horrors bound since the flood. Could these be the spirits of the Watchers or their giant offspring? Even now, whispers grow louder. Strange genetic experiments, transhumanism, the blending of man and machine. Science pushes the boundaries once guarded by heaven. Is mankind unknowingly repeating the sins of the Watchers? If the veil between realms thins, if the forbidden unions return, then the giants may walk the earth once more. But the story does not end in despair. For just as Noah found grace, prophecy tells of a remnant who will endure, light against darkness, the faithful against the corrupted. The giants may rise again. The Watchers may descend once more. The world may tremble as in the days before the flood. But the final word belongs not to the Nephilim, but to the one who defeated death itself. And so the question remains, when the Nephilim return, will mankind fall into fear or rise in faith? Your presence here means more than you know. Stories like these are not just words, they are echoes of the past, carried forward by those who choose to listen. By watching, you've already kept this mystery alive. But if you want to walk further on this path with us, like this video, share it with others who are drawn to the unknown, and subscribe so that the next chapter will find you. Together, we will keep the hidden stories of history from ever being forgotten.